Hi, everyone. This is Rico Figliolini, host of Peachtree Corners Life and Prime Lunchtime with the city manager. Brian is joining us today. Brian Johnson, city manager of Peachtree Corners. Hey, Brian. How are you?
Rico, how are you?
Good. Today's an exciting episode. We're going to be talking a bit about what just happened this past weekend, which was crazy. Just intersection takeover. And I heard Sunday night all these police cars, siren after siren going on before I realized actually what was going on right down the road from me. Um, so we'll be talking a bit about that, and we'll be talking a little bit also about some of the international delegations that are coming here, the things that are going on in Technology Park because of Curiosity Lab, and even also the things that you're involved in. In fact, you'll be going to Israel at one point as part of a group in a week or so to talk about Peachtree Corners and the technology here, and hopefully being able to bring more visitors here that may do more work here. Um, so exciting stuff. But before we get to that, I just want to thank our corporate sponsor, EV Remodeling. They've been a corporate sponsor of these broadcasts as well as helpful in the magazines that we're doing, which includes two now, Peachtree Corners Magazine as well as Southwest Gwinnett Magazine, which will be launching next week. So we'll be hitting mailboxes and newsstands. But we want to thank EV Remodeling for being corporate sponsor of the work, the journalism that we do here. And of course, the City of Peachtree Corners is always being a supporter of ours and helping us as well. So, Brian, let's talk about that that intersection takeover. Crazy, all the stuff that was going on. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was it East Jones Bridge Road and Peachtree Parkway was another incident. So tell us about this, about after that, what happened and what you got, how you guys approached this.
Well, and just as a reminder for those who don't understand kind of what we're talking about,
Mhm.
these, what they're really intersection takeovers. I mean, there is a degree of street racing in it, not necessarily like two cars racing each other, like Fast and Furious, but
Right.
street racing in that cars doing aggressive driving in the interest of sensationalism. And oftentimes, what these things are they are people who are part of car clubs, and these car clubs have like they create videos and post them on YouTube. And the more
Right.
outrageous the event is, the more views they get, the more views they get, the more money they get from ad revenue, and the more money
Hmm.
they get, the more they can pimp their cars.
Right.
So we're having this phenomenon, and we are joined by cities all over the country. This is not a phenomenon unique to Peachtree Corners, unique to Metro Atlanta or Georgia. It is happening all over. What will happen is there will be a coordinated effort amongst a number of these, people that have cars that are prepared to be partaking in this, and they will take over an intersection by basically timing when they all hit usually wide four-way signalized intersections because they need a lot of real estate in the middle.
Right.
And they all will have cars that stop at the light at all four intersections at the same
Hmm.
time, and then they don't move. So car doesn't matter what the lights do, and the cars behind there backed
Right.
up, and then they have cars that go into the middle and they do outrageous stuff. They do drifting circles, they do all sorts
Hmm.
of things. And then they, unfortunately, not only is that dangerous if somebody lost control of their car, but then they will oftentimes do things to make the event even more, I guess, sensational and apt to get viewers on YouTube, like shooting off fireworks, in some
Hmm.
cases, firearms. And so, not a good thing. We have certainly had a number of instances in the last 6, 9 months. We've had it happen at the corners of, let's see, Spalding and what was that? And Medlock. We've
Right.
had East Jones Bridge and Peachtree Parkway, like you said, and then
Hmm.
um, eh, one other location. Well, anyway, after the one that happened about 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation with Major Eddie Restrepo, who is the precinct commander of West Precinct. That is the precinct of which the officers that patrol Peachtree corners come out of.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a conversation about this, and you can imagine that this is a very resource intensive thing to stop. So we can start with these cars are technically, if you remove the discharging of a firearm component,
Mm-hmm.
generally involved in misdemeanors only.
Right.
And as that's unfortunate, but that's all it is. It's a traffic violation misdemeanor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is a policy that Gwinnett PD has against the pursuit of cars that are not in the commission of an active felony or violent crime some sort. So
Mm-hmm.
as a result, when the officers do show up, understand that there's usually 4 egress points because it's usually a 4-way intersection.
Mm-hmm.
There's oftentimes people up the road who will call and say, police are coming. And then when they do leave, they, cannot be pursued per Gwinnett County PD policy, which is not uncommon for a lot of police departments that
Yeah.
have a no pursuit policy because they're worried about high-speed pursuits resulting in,
Injuries.
yes, a violent accident, which could, put innocent lives at risk. So
Yeah.
all that being said, these things are happening, and it's a difficult thing to stop. And well, had this conversation with Major Estrepo, and I was like, look, is there anything the city can do? And 2 weeks ago, we did identify a few locations that we're going to put, instead of just LPR cameras, license plate recognition cameras, we're going to put
Mm-hmm.
video cameras, high definition video cameras, because a lot of these cars tape over their license plate.
Yeah.
So license plate recognition cameras don't work. So Major Estrepo was like, look, roger that, message received. We've been, working against this anyway, but, I'll definitely talk with my people about, maybe doing something different, because obviously it was still happening. So I'm about
Mm-hmm.
ready to read you a recap, excuse me, of what had happened this last Saturday night, or
Yeah.
technically Sunday
morning.
Right. Yeah, it says, so at approximately 4:49 in the morning, Gwinnett County Communications received a call referencing street racing activities occurring in the area of Peachtree Corner Circle and Spalding Drive. West Precinct officers responded and coordinated approaching from different areas to the intersection. Stop stick inserts, or those are oftentimes called, dang it, I forgot the term, where you throw out the little,
the chains.
the unrolled spike strips.
Spike strips, right.
Yeah, so all right. So it said spike strips were deployed
Okay.
in front of several vehicles that attempted to flee, which disabled 2 of the vehicles. Additionally, officers were able to successfully block in 26 vehicles and their occupants. Numerous officers from Lilburn, Norcross, off-duty officers, other districts, and other specialized units responded to assist. Approximately 68 adults were arrested and transported to the Gwinnett Detention Center with assistance from on-duty deputies using a large transport bus, 2 smaller van-style transport vehicles, and a couple of Gwinnett County PD patrol cars. 20 juveniles were arrested and released to their parents/guardians. All 26 vehicles that were successfully blocked in were impounded. Furthermore, 5 handguns were recovered as well. It goes on to say this exceptional response and coordination amongst numerous agencies netted some incredible results.
That's phenomenal.
And in closing, Major Estrepo kind of in jest said, on another note, West Precinct is now in dire need of replacement flex cuffs. I would imagine with, between the 2 juveniles and adults, 88 people were arrested and detained.
Unbelievable.
26 cars. Yes. So I mean, wow, well done by Gwinnett PD,
Yes.
Major Restrepo, his people, any support he got from,
Hmm.
Gwinnett PD headquarters and all of those other, agencies from the sheriff on down to neighboring municipalities. Wow, what a
Just,
great, coordinated effort. What a great message. Let's hope, some things happen. And if nothing else, the 5 handguns might result in some people having some serious charges, but the other
mm,
ones probably, unfortunately, are low enough of a crime that those people are
right.
probably out. But
Well,
maybe
I
their
mean,
little bread and butter, their little,
right.
their baby, their vehicle that was doing this, having it impounded may put a dent in this and deter them. So anyway, well done.
It certainly sends a message. I mean, I remember when we talked about this couple of months ago, even. There was the sense that there's really nothing you can do because of the misdemeanor, because, the policy's not chasing after misdemeanors and stuff. So this is like complete opposite turnaround, and probably because it's just one too many times. And
Yeah,
then I understand that you went to, the police chief and you spoke to him about the city's concerns about what can actually be done, and the fact that he was willing to I mean, that takes a tremendous amount of
it does.
coordination on a spur of the moment. Even though I'm sure some of it was planned ahead for when it happens, that's still a lot of resources on something like this. So I got to believe that those impounded cars are going to cost money to be unimpounded. Um, and the ones that got their tires blown out, maybe that's a bit of money right there. So it's gonna cost them money,
Sure.
and some of the younger people that are given back to their parents custody, those kids are probably not gonna. Who knows? I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't be back out again doing that type of stuff. But it's crazy.
It is, but I mean, look, again, kudos to both
Yeah,
the tactics that they used, the, unbelievable support from, agencies that it's not their primary
right.
responsibility or even their jurisdiction, but in mutual aid, in the interest of mutual aid, they
Hmm.
responded. Because look, if they weren't doing or, haven't been doing the times that they haven't done it in Peachtree Corners, they're doing it elsewhere. I mean, 2 weeks ago,
Right.
Roswell and I believe Lilburn were hit the same night we were on East Jones Bridge and Peachtree Parkway.
Oh wow.
Same night. I mean, so it's I think we all agree that look, if we can stop it or at least make him go far, far away.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that, and that makes sense. I mean, they're gonna move on to. Unfortunately, they're gonna move on to other places to do this. For some reason, this was a good, attractive place for them, for whatever reason that is. But maybe it's not going to be that much easy, and they're going to move somewhere else to do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but uh, but yeah, kudos to the captain. I mean, just crazy, just being able to coordinate all that and do this the way they did with all these arrests. The Yeah, just just something else. So we've seen the last of it, or certainly as big as that was, because that was a lot of people, a lot of cars there.
Yeah.
Mhm. Wow. So great work. Also, great work on the city and yourself for going after this and for speaking to the West Gwinnett, precinct to be able to coordinate something to be able to do this. So I'm
Well,
glad that
and
you all did that.
and credit goes to mayor and council as well, because
Yeah.
the message that I delivered to Major Restrepo was not just my own. I
No,
had
I
the
know.
support of mayor and council when they said, "Look,
Hmm.
tell our precinct commander," because our West precinct commander is essentially our police chief
Hmm.
operationally. I mean, that's how he.
Right.
And to go to him and just say, "Look, we support you being as aggressive as policy allows you to be, as safety allows you to be, but
Hmm.
you don't have any worry about the elected body here being like, oh, that's too heavy-handed or whatever." Mayor and council were like, enough. Go to him, tell
Right.
him, leave no stone unturned. Don't let any resource that you could bring to bear be unknown to us, because we'll
Hmm.
provide it for you. If there's some kind of technology or some asset you need, we can get it for you. We will. and he took that to heart and got his people together. And as good managers
Yeah.
do, they came up with a game plan and they executed it. What's appears from the results is flawlessly or very close thereof. And so
Yeah.
great story, cool story.
Uh-huh.
We're very lucky to have the police coverage that we have here.
Absolutely. And I don't think people realize as much because, the city of Norcross has like the Norcross Police. City of Peachtree Corners doesn't have its own police department. Obviously, we pay for specifically because of city arrangement with the county that Gwinnett Police, and that the fact that they've been so attentive to our requests, it just shows the great relationship that's there as well. So
Yeah.
all good. Um, Moving on to something else as well, good stuff too is there's just so much anyone that follows LinkedIn, Instagram, follows Curiosity Lab or the City of Peachtree Corners, any of the social media, or reads any of the stuff that we've put out, knows that Peachtree Corners is a silicon orchid, right? That this place is not just a mobility hub but a tech hub, and that there's so much going on, so many international delegations that come here. I think there's over 20 different countries even represented in Peachtree Corners through their
Yep.
corporate base here or offices here to work out of here in the U.S. or in this region. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, and the conferences that you all go to send out to bring that news out to other places attracts even more. I know that you're going to Israel in another week or two, to talk about doing business here in the city of Peachtree Corners, and all this stuff just brings in more and more. I mean, every week there's something going on. Every week there's a new company coming here. There's new things going on at Curiosity Lab on autonomous highway technology park that we have. So tell us a bit more about some of the things going on that we should be aware of here with these companies in Curiosity Lab.
Well, and I will start by saying, our Curiosity Lab continues to be an economic development initiative of the city. Its purpose is not to develop technology. It's not to invent anything. It's not to, you know, um, endorse any product or anything like that. It is to create a magnet for activity, and that activity can be as simple as people who live in Metro Atlanta visiting Curiosity Lab for the day. They're going to get hungry at lunch, and they're going to probably eat in our restaurants because they're right here and there's sales tax. Or people who are here for a night or two only, but they're going to probably stay in our hotels because they're right here and there's lodging tax. And so it could be as simple as that. And of course, the other end of the spectrum is it can be the final thing that pushes a company like Intuitive Surgical to decide to build a $600 million East Coast headquarters and create 1,500 jobs, with an average salary of $150,000. That final push to get that kind of economic activity is why Curiosity Lab was created. So great. We also continue to do things domestically um, to, create opportunities for companies to come here, use the facility short term, long term, relocate here. But it doesn't just stop there. We obviously have a lot of international interest for two reasons. One, we have a facility that really nowhere else in the world can offer what we do for no cost, only one governmental entity, no intellectual property requirements from us, all those things that we've talked about before. That's one
Sure.
reason why they're interested. And the other reason is we are in the North American market. And so take Israel. The entire nation of Israel doesn't have many more people than Metro Atlanta. So if you invent something there and you want to scale it up, you want to sell it, you've got to go to a big market. You got to go to Asia, you got to go to Europe, or you got to go to North America. And obviously, we're in North America. The American market is a big market. And the Southeast is becoming more and more known as a really cost-effective location for tech companies to go because you talk to a lot of these startups, and of course, where do you want to go if you Silicon Valley, or New York City, or maybe even Research Triangle in North Carolina, or Austin, Texas. I mean, there are some really good tech areas in the US, but generally all the ones that I just brought up are more expensive to live in, to operate in. And oftentimes, you become a fish in a really big pond with a lot of really big fish versus maybe in Atlanta, the pond's a little smaller.
Mhm.
So you get seen a little bit more because you're not lost amongst all the big fishes. So we have a lot of international interest. I've been invited by the Nation of Israel to go and speak at a conference, and subsequent to that, meet with a bunch of tech companies and Israeli governmental agencies interested in doing some things over here, sending companies over here. Again, maybe only temporary, but still, again, back to they got to eat and they got to stay in a hotel oftentimes, and there's money. Just last week, we executed an MOU, big signing ceremony, and a matchmaking event at the end of that with the National Technology Incubator for Taiwan.
Now,
Their name is called Startup Terrace.
right, and for most people that may not know what an MOU is.
I'm sorry, yes, a memorandum of understanding, and that MOU, the purpose of it is for us to share information and to share tech companies and to share assets and other resources to make it easy for companies to go either direction. There are American startups that certainly would like to maybe be, in the Taiwanese market. Maybe they're
Sure.
uniquely, because when it comes to semiconductor chips, I believe Taiwan has got more manufactures more of those than anywhere else in the world. And, so we're going to share those kind of things. And we're going to be a soft landing pad for Taiwanese tech companies to come to the US, land here at Curiosity Lab for X period of time. It could be a couple of days, could be a couple of weeks, could be longer.
Right.
But we executed that agreement with them to do that. That's another big deal. And this is the National Technology Incubator. This isn't like some private organization. This is the Taiwanese government's incubator.
Mhm.
Just executed an agreement with little old Peachtree Corners. I mean, sometimes it's crazy when you're on there. And we had the basically the U.S. ambassador to Taiwan on the call with us.
Right.
It was a big, obviously virtual signing ceremony, and there was probably 35 people. I can actually send you the video, Rico. You can watch it. It was an
Yeah, I'd
hour
love
long.
to see it.
Yeah. So anyway, there's that, and then just last Friday, we were asked if we could make block an hour of our time next week for us to be the location that was asked to be seen by name from the delegate head of a delegation coming from Washington, D.C. to Georgia. And they're going to be here for the day. And this delegation is full of essentially deputy ambassadors. These are what are called deputy chiefs of mission. The deputy chief of mission, operates like the chief operating officer of that embassy. They're the number two. You have the ambassador, and the deputy chief of mission is running this stuff. And, remember, these are small locations of that government's property here in the U.S. I mean, they have everything from diplomacy to spying. I mean, for lack of a better, it happens. But anyway, I only bring that up to say Curiosity Lab was asked to be a stop on this visit to Georgia for the day. This delegation is coming to Peachtree Corners with these deputy chiefs of mission, these deputy ambassadors from the following countries. We'll start with European Union.
Right.
Then deputy chiefs of mission from Spain, Denmark, Portugal, Germany, Czech Republic, Croatia, Luxembourg, Slovakia, Poland, Italy, Lithuania, Estonia, Cyprus, Latvia, Netherlands, France, Slovenia, and Belgium in one group here to see Curiosity Lab. I mean, sometimes it's
I,
mind boggling how we got our name out there such that we would be asked by name to be seen by these. I mean, these are people who are way up in the diplomatic corps of their respective countries.
I think this goes back to the germination of when this first started, right? Um, and people were like, "Well, why do we need this? We have, why are we doing this?" And then Sprint at the time, right? 5G
Yep,
network and setting all that up, and people like, it's not a big deal, and why are we spending money doing this? Certainly, we've seen time and again between like even the French American Business
French
Chamber,
American Chamber. Yep.
right? So,
Yep.
and other companies coming and doing things here, and companies that are setting up here in Peachtree Corners, even at places even outside Curiosity Lab,
Yeah.
like Atlanta Tech Park, where I think it was Rebus, which started
Yep.
as a 2 or 3 person place, and now its valuation, I think 3 years later, is almost $750 million or something.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of things going on in the city that most people don't even know about, and even when they do, they really don't know because there's so much going on. Even I can't keep up with week after week of things I see on Instagram, on LinkedIn, press releases, all the stuff that the city's doing, Curiosity Lab's doing, everything that's just so much going on. Can't even cover it all. That's how much is
Well,
going on.
Rico, a little bit of that is actually, the fact that people don't talk about it in the city.
Yeah,
We know it's a struggle. We all get our news from different places, and
right,
we oftentimes have blinders on because, if I'm not careful or if I wasn't the city manager, when you include what you got going at home, I got my son playing travel baseball, daughter in
right.
club volleyball, you got studying, you got stuff with the wife, you got civic stuff, I mean,
Yeah,
pretty soon, like all of us, you got your life.
yeah.
And if it doesn't fit into that narrow, then oftentimes you don't see it. Now, that's on us. Our part of our job is to remind everybody that there
Hmm.
is an indirect, mostly, but sometimes direct benefit that
Hmm.
they get from Curiosity Lab. The fact that the largest DC fast charging hub for electric vehicles in Metro Atlanta is here in Peachtree Corners at the
Yeah,
parking deck.
yeah,
You can charge electric vehicles from 0 to 100% charge in less than 40 minutes. There's not very many of those. The
right.
fact that it's here is because of Curiosity Lab, but now our residents had a direct benefit because we said, don't put that on the track. There's not enough use case. Put it
Right.
at the parking deck, and that way they can charge and they can go into
Hmm.
go shop, go into the restaurants, and they do. Although the unique phenomenon there is, a lot of vehicles go to charge there, and what they do is they pull into the space, start the charge, walk over to one of the restaurants, get takeout, go back to their vehicle, and they eat it in the vehicle while the vehicle's
Well, it's
charging.
charging, really.
Right. Um, but
That's funny.
but
Yeah.
you get the direct benefit or the indirect benefit. Now, the good thing about a lot of people not knowing does mean we're doing all of this
Hmm.
without having to take a lot of taxpayer money.
Right.
And
Right.
so we get a lot of donations, a lot of contributions from
Or
companies
grants,
that
even.
are partners. Because what we say
Hmm.
when some companies like, we want to be a partner, we want to be there more. We're like, okay, provide a value proposition to us as to how you're going to make Curiosity Lab better. And we entertain it. Sometimes it is money. They're like,
Hmm.
we'll give you X amount of dollars per year, or we'll
Right.
donate this technology, or we'll do this minimal amount of activity. But what we've done is keep the taxpayer, money contribution to Curiosity Lab very minimal. And maybe the most important thing is all of this is being done,
Hmm.
and our millage rate is still zero,
Yeah. Yeah.
zero.
Yeah.
And so,
You brought up a great point because it's not like the city council has to vote funds to do things for the most part. You get grants even like Carolyn, Congressman Bordeaux's helped bring half a million, no, 500,
$500,000. Yep.
$500,000, right, for the mobility hub area. Um, so there's a lot
I mean,
going.
$2 million from the feds for us to purchase the old City Hall building where the
That's
Curiosity Lab
right.
Innovation Center is.
That's
So,
right.
yeah, we get a lot of money from different people
Yeah.
that are not taxpayers, and that
Yeah.
helps this as well. But, so when you don't take money out of people's pockets
Hmm.
and they're busy, they generally, you're kind of like, why would I know about Curiosity
Yeah.
Lab? I don't work there. I don't drive along there. Now, I do believe that by the end of this calendar year,
Hmm.
we will have autonomous vehicles in the right of way of State Route 141, Peachtree Parkway.
Really.
Not in the
So.
travel lanes, not in the travel lanes where you and I would drive our vehicles, but in
Hmm.
the east side of the road, if you're heading north,
Hmm.
on the right, and it would connect where Tech Park and Peachtree Parkway are, right by the Marriott, and it would
Right.
run north to Scientific Drive. So it would run past the racetrack, past the liquor store, past
Mhm.
the big development going in there, Broadstone, and it would turn right just before Spalding and go back into that. There's a good chance that that effort will be done by the end of this calendar year. So now you will see there's about 60,000 cars that are out on State Route 141 every day.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's a lot of people who will start to look over and be like, what is that? And
Yeah.
they'll
When
see
you
an
say
autonomous vehicle.
Yeah, when you say right of way, that's the 12-foot path.
Yes.
That's tar. That's
Well, it's not tar, it's
blacktop.
asphalt. It's
It's
asphalt.
asphalt. That's what I meant. Asphalt.
Yeah,
Um,
when I say right away, I only mean the real estate owned by the state
mhm.
within which you have the travel lanes of Peachtree Parkway. Then you've got like a clear zone,
Right.
for shoulder and clear zone if there's an
Hmm.
accident. And then on the east side of the road, you've
Hmm.
got that 10-foot
Right.
multi-use trail. We will end up putting in a standalone sidewalk outside of that so that people
Oh,
and
okay.
bikes still have a place to go. And then that
Right.
current multi-use path becomes the autonomous vehicle path. And
Eh,
it is the first where we would be about a quarter of the way connecting all these hotel rooms, 1,000+ hotel rooms with the Hilton and the
right.
Hyatt and the Marriott and everything down at the south end of the track, connecting it with the town center. That's our
But
ultimate goal, to connect it.
okay, and by the end of the year, though, it's going from the Marriott Hotel, and then
To
making a right turn,
scientific.
right, and making a right turn on Spalding Drive to get back onto Tech
No, no,
Parkway.
no. Scientific Drive, which is just
Ah,
before Spalding.
okay, okay,
Getting
okay.
across Spalding is going to
Yeah,
take some more transportation engineer thought because remember,
right.
these are driverless vehicles.
That's right. Yeah,
So they're autonomous, and so that'll be the next hurdle. But our
yeah.
ultimate goal is to run it up Peachtree Parkway all the way to the town center.
So does the 5G technology go that far out? Will that
Yep.
be that component there?
Yep.
No, so no more infrastructure is needed. It's already 5G tech is already up there and
Correct.
available for that to work.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Cool. So that's moving it along. And what I think what you said is important that yes, we all are involved in our own lives and we have things going on, our kids, work, um, and stuff. And, we're looking forward to the next vacation, maybe, unless it's a staycation and stuff. So, and spring break and summer break and all that. But I think what people should realize also the amount of development going on in the city of Peachtree Corners, um, the fact that North American Properties decided that the Forum was a good investment for them to buy that, to make the Forum more than it is. Um, to the continued work that's going on in development in Peachtree Corners, that's all I think driven because of the the millage rate, because of the things going on here, because of all that energy that's out there. I think people know more about Peachtree Corners than ever before. And it's a great location, right? I think that was another reason why North American Properties bought the Forum, is because, we're from here going down to Atlanta. I mean, you'd be, not that it's fast, but it's definitely a place, like better than Alpharetta, I think, to be able to get into the city. So certainly there's a bit of that. I'm already, I'm talking to, like, for example, the Anderby Brewing, right? They're going to be Anderby Brewing and Distillery now, right?
Right.
And so they're expanding. We're going to be doing a story on them at some point about becoming a distillery as well. They got approved, I think, with the city license. They're waiting. Last I spoke to Preston, they were waiting for the state license to come through,
Yeah.
or approval. So, and he was telling me, yeah, this is, things are going better. COVID's, not that it's over, but he says right now, everything seems to be going back to a more robust thing. And there'll be 1,000 more units, he said, within Technology Park feeding. And he's so confident, that it'll be a great thing economically for businesses in the city. Certainly, he's looking forward to that. So it's all an ecosystem, right? It all
It is.
feeds on each other. So
It does.
good stuff there. So, and cities doing technology, more technology stuff, right? They're putting out Choose PTC app. Um, so you can download an app here in Peachtree Corners now. I think there's 4,000 users already on it.
Well, I mean, we already had the Cities app, but the Choose PTC app is
Yeah,
basically an incentive program to shop locally, and you get points. And if you shop at a participating local, establishment,
right.
and those points will be redeemed for money.
Yeah,
And so you can actually, it's almost like a rewards, like
yes,
frequent flyer points or
right.
hotel. That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
So there's one for the city. And in this case, you can ultimately get it redeemed for cash, which is still king.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good, but we're trying to keep everybody to shop local
Yeah, and it looks like, there's over 170 local businesses involved in it already,
and
um,
growing.
and growing. So excellent. So there's that. The playground is moving along. I understand from you were earlier that we may be seeing playground equipment coming in the next few weeks.
Yeah. So it looks like our site work is done. We had to build the berm to facilitate the equipment coming in.
Mhm.
And then we had to put a lot of drainage there because there's going to be, kind of the artificial, you know, grass,
Sure.
if you
Yeah.
will, in that area. And you do not want water underneath it to be pooling or to end up eroding the soil of which, that carpet
Right.
is on. So that's all been done. Most of the playground equipment is in. And so I think you're going to start seeing them assemble some of the playground equipment. Well, you will starting this week. It's still going to be about, into this month we should be 90% done. Shade structures over the
Mm.
seating area where the parents come is going to be another 2 months because of supply chain.
Right.
Hopefully that's the only big thing. And then we'll end up moving over the current playground equipment, the two bigger kind of playground piece of equipment, and then that
Right.
hill with the slide. We'll end up moving that away from that area, and the area where the slide is will be turned into one that's oriented towards very little kids. So, like,
Okay. So the existing playground right now is going to be moved
yeah, it'll be moved to the
to,
other side of the
to
green,
the other
somewhere
side.
over
Okay.
there. So, and then we're gonna put
Okay.
in for smaller, much smaller kid, like 2 years old type of kid.
Right.
So you kind of have the
Yeah.
succession, the chronological succession of playground. There near the bathrooms, you have
Right.
the really little kids, and then if you want to progress, you'll be able to progress to the ones that we're building right now. And then if you really get advanced, you can go into the fitness trail and you can do some of that,
Right.
like ninja warrior type of stuff.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
you're into that kind of, if you're playgrounds and those kind of, things to climb on, we're going to
Uh,
basically have from cradle to grave, if you will.
yeah, well, let's not quite put it that way, but yeah, I
Yeah,
get
maybe not the grave part. Well, certainly not because of the playground. Just point out that.
it.
But
Yes, yes.
yeah, at some point we all get, even myself, and I've been, on the, what we like to think is the hardest obstacle course
Hmm?
that exists, and that's the Darby Queen in at Fort Benning in Georgia. That's the obstacle course for Ranger School. We
Oh,
were all
yeah,
young enough to do that kind of stuff, but even I am like, yeah, my kids try some of that stuff out. And I
yeah, it's
tell them,
not for you.
yeah, I used to be able to do that. As we say in the South, I used to could.
I used to could. Yes, we're all getting a little older. I just played an Alta match this weekend. It was 3 hours torture, 3 hours, two long sets, and at the end of
Yes, I
that,
say you're really sore right today, aren't you?
oh my, it was hot Saturday too. On top of that, I was drinking 5 bottles of water and two Gatorades, and I was just sore after that. It's just like, yeah, we're all getting a little older, maybe, but that just showed me how old I was, actually.
Yeah.
But no, this was cool going through everything. Glad that the city was able to work with the Gwinnett Police to get everything, situated in the right way over there. Hopefully that helps. It probably should help with 88 arrests and 20 plus cars impounded, um, and all the rest of the stuff going on in the city. So I'm always glad to be able to speak to you, Brian, and get all the straight scoop from you.
You too, Rico. Thanks again for the opportunity to let us, or let me provide some updates on some stuff we've got going on. Couldn't do without you, so appreciate it.
Same here. All right. Thank you, guys. And just to say again, EV Remodeling has been a great corporate sponsor. So we hope you check them out at evremodelinginc.com.